Good evening, beta. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, beta. Good evening, dear.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, beta. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, dear. Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, beta. Good evening. Okay, so,
Merry Christmas, sir.
same to
Good
you
evening,
all,
sir.
dear. Good evening, beta. Good evening. Okay, let's put this screen on sharing mode now.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, beta. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Merry
Good
Christmas,
evening,
sir.
dear. Merry Christmas to you and your family, dear.
Happy Christmas, sir.
Same to you, dear. Okay, so, is anyone else who's waiting in the waiting room? Let me check it out. And all of you, please put yourself on mute. I think there is someone on mute right now. So in the last lecture, we guys were working on this two-way communication system, and these were the screens we made use of. Fine. So today we are going to complete this thing, this two-way communication system. So what are the things we did in the last lecture? Let me summarize that for you guys first. I'm going to delete all the tables which I think you guys have created over here on this data browser connected to this app. So now I'm going to come on this coding part. Let's put this here in the in a new tab. Is anyone else who is there in the waiting room? No. Fine. So this is the first screen a user is going to come across when he'll open the app on his device. Okay, now here he can sign in on the system through his email address. Here he need to put his email address, and here he can put a password. And when he'll click the submit button.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, dear. Good evening. When he'll click the submit button, automatically a table with name users is going to get created on the data browser, which is connected to this app, and he's going to get redirected on this screen. Okay, similarly, if we have another user, I'm going to use one more link for this. Similarly, if we have one more user, so he can also register himself through the same process. Now, when he'll click on this screen, he's going to get redirected on this screen where he'll be able to see the IDs of all the participants, all the people who have got their profiles registered on this platform. Similarly, the second person also will be able to see, all the IDs over here. So this is Gaurav's panel. How can we come to know about that thing? We can, here Gaurav's ID is getting reflected. So I will say that this is Gaurav's panel, and this one is Arnav's panel. His ID is getting reflected over here. Now, if Gaurav want to send a message to Arnav, what he has to do, he need to write down whatever message he want to send to Arnav. He can write it down over here in the input text box. Hi Arnav, are you doing? Suppose this is a message which Gaurav would like to send to Arnav. So this is the send button he can make use of for doing the same. And let's hit this send button and see what's going to happen. Fine. So whatever message Gaurav has sent to Arnav, it is getting reflected over here also. And now the only thing which we are left in this project, or you can say in this app, is to define the part which is going to help the receiver to receive the message which the sender has sent to him. Now, how can we do that? First of all, we are going to check out the name of the table which has got created on the data browser. Okay, so there is one more table which has got created over here. Why is it getting reflected over here? Gaurav Gmail and Gaurav here also. It's just because we haven't selected Arnav's ID over here. Okay, so I think I need to refresh this app one more time, and let's create one more profile on this platform. Let's make use of Anubhav's ID in order to create one more profile. Okay, fine. And here we are going to create one more profile. Let's do it with the help of.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, dear.
Sir, in my laptop, sir, Python ideally is not installing, sir. Sir, it's saying that in your system it can't be installed.
Hey, dear. Are we doing Python right now? What are we doing? We are
Excuse
doing
me.
code.org.
No, sir, I was asking because I have to download, sir.
Okay, I'll help you
Excuse
out.
me, sir.
Yes, dear.
O- Okay, sir.
Sir, in my this app which we are making now, when I make an ID, so
Wait
in
up,
the
wait up.
first ID,
Hold on for a moment. I will take your query. Once I'm done with explaining my part, I will take your query after that. Okay,
okay,
don't
sir.
worry. I'm not going to take a lot of time today. So this is Anubhav's panel and this is Dia's panel. Fine. Now I am going to select Dia's. So Dia's ID is just a second. Let me do one more. Let me do it like this. Let me delete these two tables and I'm going to think we are making some mistake over here. Yeah. Just give me 2 more minutes. So I'm going to create one ID, one profile with Arnav's ID. Okay, and on this I am going to create. Okay, now let's hit this button and hit this button also. Is there anyone waiting in the waiting room? Yeah. Okay, so here we have got Arnav's ID and here this is Anubhav's panel on which we are right now. So I'm going to select Anubhav's ID on Arnav's panel and here I'm going to select Arnav's ID on here I'm going to select Anubhav's ID on Arnav's panel and Arnav's ID on Anubhav panel. I've selected on Anubhav's panel. So, yeah. So now let's send a message to Anubhav using Arnav's ID. Hi Anubhav, how was the meeting? Okay, so this is a message. Suppose Arnav want to send to Anubhav, so that's how he can do it. On a single click, he can send a message to Anubhav. Now, what is the name of the table which has got created over here on the data browser? So the name of the table is arnav@gmail.com and after that it is anubhav@gmail.com. Now, why this kind of table has got created over here? It's just because of the code which we have defined inside this on even block of send button. So what is the thing that we've defined over here? Get text sender email plus get text drop down 4. Okay, so if suppose this is sender's screen, this is drop down 4 and this one is message box, or sorry, this one is sender email. So the name of the table will be like if you will concatenate this ID which is getting reflected over here, that is arnav@gmail.com, and the one which is getting reflected in this drop down, it is anubhav@gmail.com. Concatenation means we are adding two things together. So this is the name of the table which is going to get created on the data browser. So this, now what are we doing? We have sent a message from Arnav's ID to Anubhav's ID. Okay, we have sent a message from Arnav's ID to Anubhav's ID. So the panel that we used for sending the message was Arnav's panel, right? Try and understand the concept, okay, which we may make use of for two-way communication. So Arnav has sent a message to Anubhav, and this kind of table has got created on the data browser. The name that has been assigned to the table which has got created over here on the data browser is something like this. So the first thing that is coming is the sender's name. Okay, and the second thing which is coming is the receiver's name. Now this name which you are seeing over here, it is coming from where? It is coming from sender email, right? It is coming from this component which we have defined over here. So the name of this component is sender email. Fine. And then we have concatenated this with the ID which we have selected from this drop down. So it is drop down 4. The ID of this button is drop down 4. Okay. Now the question is drop down 4. Now if Anubhav would like to, if suppose Anubhav want to read the message which Arnav has sent to him, then Anubhav will have to refer to this table, right? He will have to fetch the information from this table which has got created on the data browser, because all the information is there inside this table. This message which Anubhav would like to receive is there inside this table, and the name of this table is like this. So you guys have to tell me on Anubhav's panel, who will be the sender and who will be the receiver. If we are talking about Anubhav's panel, so what is the ID which will get reflected in this sender email part?
It will be
Sir,
Anubhav's
Arnav.
ID.
Anubhav.
It
Sir,
is
in Anubhav's screen, Arnav will be reflected.
no. What I am asking from you guys is that if suppose Anubhav's panel is this. So in that component, sender email component, which ID is getting reflected right now? Is it
Anubhav.
Anubhav's ID? That's right.
Anubhav's ID.
Sir,
This is
Anubhav.
Sir,
Anubhav's ID.
Anubhav.
So it is anubhav@gmail.com, which is
Anubhav.
getting reflected over here in this sender email component, right? And it is Arnav's ID which is getting reflected over here in this drop down.
Drop down.
So how are you going to fetch the records from this table? That's what you have to tell me. How can you fetch the records from this table?
Sir, we can use read record.
Read records.
Absolutely. That
Read
is
records.
Read records.
absolutely
Read
right. We guys can make
Get
use of
text on drop down
read
4
records.
plus sender email.
Get text drop down 4.
From drop down 4 plus sender email.
Absolutely correct, Bhishma. Absolutely perfect answer. Because now on receiver's panel, what is happening? This email ID, okay, this email ID is of the receiver. Sorry, this email ID is of the, yes, this email
Sender.
ID is going to get reflected over here in the drop down. And this email ID is going to get reflected in this component, sender's component. Okay, sender's email component. So that is the reason now what we have to do in order to fetch the records from this table, let's come back on this coding part. Okay, and I'm going to make use of this uneven block again. Let's put it here. Okay, and here in place of this ID, let's make use of this small thing which is getting reflected over here, this phone kind of thing, in order to receive the message. So how can I do that? I can place a label box over it so as to make it behave like a button. Okay, this is a concept which we have made use of several times in the previous class. Okay, and this is going to be the receiving button. Okay, this is going to work for us as the receiving button. So for coding, for defining the code for the receive button, let's choose this receive from this drop down first. Where is that receive? Yeah, this is the one. So when the user will click on this receive button, what will happen? That's what we need to define over here inside this uneven block. So we would like to fetch the records from which table? So here we need to define the name of the table. Now what we need to do is we can copy the name of the table from here. Okay, this part you have to keep in mind. Okay, if you're making a two-way communication system, this is a trick that you can make use of. Okay, and what you have to do, you need to copy this part from here and put it over here in place of this my table. And whatever thing you have made use of here in the second part of this name, you need to cut it from there. You need to interchange the name of the components. Okay, so here we are going to make use of drop down 4, and here we're going to make use of the name of the component which we have placed over here, sender email. So that's how we'll be able to pull the information from this table which has got created over here in the data browser when the sender has sent a message to the receiver. Okay, this is a trick that we can make use of. Now, in order to fetch the details, what we can do, we can define a condition over here. Inside this, curly brackets, we can define a condition. So the condition should be like this. If there are three columns which we have defined over here inside this table. One is sender, receiver, and message. If suppose this receiver want to receive a message from this sender, okay, so he need to select his ID from this drop down first, then only he'll be able to receive the message from the sender. So we need to match this ID. Okay, we need to match this ID. So for defining a condition for matching the ID of the sender, what we can do, instead of using receiver, we need to make use of sender. Okay, and get text. You're going to get the text from where? Drop down 4. Okay, this is the first condition that we need to make use of. Now it is possible that this sender may have sent a message to more than 2 or 3 people at the same time. Now how this receiver will come to know about, we can define a second condition for that, right? So how we are going to define the second condition? We cannot define more than one condition inside this curly bracket. So for defining the second condition, what we can do, we can put it here inside this for loop. If a receiver, just a second,
sender email.
Just hold on for a moment here. Sender is this, and if, how can we fetch the name of the receiver? So in order to fetch the name of the receiver, we need to make use of this records I dot receiver. Okay, equal to if it is equal to this email ID. So for that, we can copy this whole thing and put it over here. So now this receiver will be able to receive the message from this sender. Okay, and for getting the message reflected, beta, all of you please put yourself on mute. I'm able to hear some noises from the background. Okay, and in order to receive the message, where is the message getting stored? It is getting stored in this column message. Okay, so for fetching the message, we can make use of get text block.
Set
Here is
text.
get text. Sorry, set text. Absolutely right. Set text and get text. Inside this get text, we can replace this text with this thing. Okay, and it should be like this message. What is the ID of this component? It is message
Message
area.
box.
So what we can do, beta, please put yourself on mute. Please put yourself on mute. So this is going to be message area. Fine. Now I think we are good to go with this communication system. Let's see whether we'll be able to get and receive, send and receive the messages or not through this one. Let's share this app one more time. Beta, please, who is this on mute, unmute right now? I'm going to run this application on 3 different browsers now. Fine. So let's to check whether it is working fine or not. This is the first ID with which I am creating the first profile. This is the second ID I'm using for creating the second profile. And with this one, I am creating the third profile. Okay, so now let's set this button, image button over here. This one also and this one also. So we have got now, there are 3 different IDs which are getting reflected over here in this drop down. Let's send a message to Anubhav with this ID of Gaurav. Okay, hi, Anubhav, how are you? Yeah, let's send this message. Where is Anubhav's ID? I think this is the one. Yep. So here he need to select Gaurav's ID from this drop down in order to receive the message from Gaurav. Let's hit this button, receiving button, and see whether we'll be able to receive the message or not. See, we have received the message successfully. Now let's send a message to Gaurav.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, I think we should change the receiving button, sir, because it looks like calling button.
You can customize it yourself. No, I will be sharing the link of this app with you.
Okay, sir.
After that, you can customize it the way you want. Okay, now let's send a message to Gaurav. Hi Gaurav, I am good. About you. Okay. Let's see whether Gaurav will be able to receive the message sent by Anubhav or not. So he need to hit this button over here. See, he has received the message successfully. Now, who is this? Arnav. Let's send a message to Arnav from Gaurav's ID. Hi, Arnav. Oh, the day. Okay. Suppose this is a message which Gaurav
Please
would like to
choose
send to
Arnav ID.
Arnav. Yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Arnav. So we need to select Arnav's ID from this drop down first. Let's hit the send button. Okay, now let's select Gaurav's ID from this drop down on Arnav's panel and see whether he'll be able to receive the message sent by Gaurav or not. So he received the message successfully. Okay. Let's send a message to Gaurav now through Arnav's ID. Hi Gaurav. It was a great day. Okay. Whether Gaurav will be able to receive the message sent by Arnav or not, let's check it out. Yes, Gaurav is able to receive the message from Arnav. And these are the tables which have got created on the data browser. Fine. Yes, now you guys can go ahead and ask me
Sir,
your
Can I
so
queries.
how we can make boxes so that we can understand, sir? सर जो बॉक्सेस हम अपने जो रियल व्हाट्सएप होता है उसमें देखते हैं सर, वैसा उसमें जो बॉक्सेस आते हैं जो हम सेंड करते हैं सर, वो कैसे बनाएंगे?
You are, see, what we can do, we guys can make use of dynamic content for those
Sir,
boxes.
but position cannot set.
We can set the position also using set property. We can do that. There is a
Sir, you
thing,
have
no? There
also
is
upload a
Sir,
video
you
on
can,
YouTube for
sir,
that.
yes, sir,
absolutely
you
right.
can
But
upload a video, but I cannot understand.
don't worry about that, beta. We will cover everything in these classes. Okay, I haven't
Excuse me,
taken,
sir.
just hold on for a moment. I haven't taken that topic yet. So whenever I will take that topic, I will definitely explain you how can you send and receive button using those dynamically created buttons. Fine, how can you
Can
send and
I
receive
ask?
those messages using dynamically created components? Beta,
Yes, sir.
one
Sir,
by
my
one you
doubt.
have to ask me.
Yes, sir. Sir,
And
my
if you
doubt
want to,
was.
if you, Krishna, just a second. First of all, you need to switch on your video if you want to ask me something, as I've told you in the
Sir,
previous class also. And if you are facing some issue with your camera, you need to get it replaced or you need
sir,
to
can you
get the
see
issue.
me?
Yes, now I'm able to
Sir,
see you, dear.
ओके सर। सर आई माई डाउट है सर, लाइक सर जो मैसेज हम लोग भेज रहे हैं तो सर उसके बाद जो मैसेज हमने, या तो वो जैसे हम लोग ने मैसेज जो हम रिसीव किया था, सेंड किया था, तो सर वो चीज़ें हमारी स्क्रीन पे कैसे अपीयर होंगी? वो तो गायब हो जाता है जो क्वेश्चन
How,
है।
what you are asking is how can we retrieve the previous messages? If suppose you
यस
have
सर,
sent a message and then you have again sent a message to the same user, now the
यस सर,
previous message is getting disappeared. That's what you're saying,
यस
no?
सर,
So what we can do, we can make use of, there is a thing called rooms that we can make use of. We can allot room
ओके,
to allot individual room to individual users to whom a particular
यस सर,
sender is communicating his things. We will
sir,
talk about these things, when we will be developing that WhatsApp, complete WhatsApp. I will tell you about all these things in that lecture.
can I ask?
ओके सर, थैंक यू
Who is
सर।
this?
Sir,
Well, who is this?
sir, can I ask?
Excuse me, sir.
Beta, you have to, can you please make use of this raise hand facility available on this platform? Because I'm not able to, identify the name of the person who want to ask me the questions. Yes, Arihant, please go ahead, dear. Arihant. Arihant,
Sir,
yes, Arihant.
sir,
Arihant,
sir,
beta, hold on for a moment. I have asked Arihant
Sir, can you hear
to
my
tell me.
voice?
Yes, Arihant, I'm able to hear you.
Sir, can you again explain the code of receive button?
The receive button. Okay, just a second here. See here, what we have. Here is that. See, when the sender is sending a message to the receiver, so this is the type, this is the name of the table. Okay, the table which is getting created on the browser. So a name like this is getting assigned to that table. So the first thing which is coming is the sender's ID, and the second thing which is coming is the receiver's ID. Now, if you are coding for the receiving button, make sure that if you have coded this thing, if you have coded, just a second, if you have coded in this way for the sender's button, this is the ID which is coming first, and this is the ID of the component which is coming second. Okay, so what you have to do in the receiving button, you need to interchange their position. That's what you have to do when you're coding, when you're defining the code for this receiving button. Now, as you can see here, I'm reading the records from this table. Okay, so it is drop down 4 which is coming first, and sender email is coming second. Here sender email is, I have placed it in the first get text block, and this drop down 4 I have placed in this second block of get text, because that is the only change which you have to make. Is there any other question? Just a second. Let me
Sir,
check out the participants list.
sir,
Yes, Shashwat, you want to ask something? Shashwat?
sir, sir, in first
Sir, I
screen,
want to ask.
Charu, hold on for a moment. And Shashwat, you have to switch on your camera if you want to ask any question here. Yes, Shashwat.
Excuse me, sir.
Please go ahead, dear.
Sir, I want to ask, sir, when we are inputting our username and password in the login screen. So, if we have previously entered a ID, so we are getting options about that ID. How we can hide that options?
Which options you are talking about, dear? Shashwat,
Sir,
which
he's
Sir,
option?
talking
which
about
we have
forgot
previously.
password and remember
Sir,
me options.
Krishna, just a second. He is not talking about
sir,
that, dear.
when you click on enter your information in the text input, then we can use a drop down type thing in below the text input.
Bhishma, just a second. Shashwat, can you please repeat your question because I was not able to understand yours.
Sir, when we enter our ID and password in the login screen, so which we have
Okay.
previously entered the ID. For example, I have entered raghav@gmail.com, and when I will work with that app second time, so I will
Okay.
get the option that
See. I got you. I got your
raghav@gmail.com.
point, dear. The thing is, we have not used any sign up screen in this app. If you want to use a sign up screen with this sign in screen, so you can make use of the coding part which we have, which I have taught you in the first lecture, I think, first or second lecture. How can you connect sign up screen with sign in screen? So
Sir,
that
we can use
concept,
set screen.
no, not set screen, but you have to create one more screen. You have to create one sign up screen, and then you have to interlink the sign up screen with this sign in screen, so that once you are done with creating a profile, you can directly come on this sign in screen and log in into the app by filling up the required credentials here in these two input boxes. Okay, Raghav, I think this
No,
is
sir,
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 I have question. Sir,
Shashwat.
please share your screen.
Yes, Abhishek, you want to ask something? Abhishek, are you there? Abhishek, you're not audible to me, dear. Soumya, what is your question?
Okay.
Soumya?
Sir,
yes, sir.
I have
My
doubt.
question was, I oftenly get errors in my code. So how do I reduce those errors? Because see, I
Practice.
see.
Practice makes the man perfect. Yeah, I think you must have heard about this phrase many times. So keep on practicing. That's
Yeah,
the only thing.
Sir,
That's the
please
only way out.
share your screen. I have doubt.
Atharv, what is your issue, dear?
Sir, when I made this app, when I made first person profile in this app,
Okay.
he is not getting the option of the second person whose profile is there, who made the profile later. But in the ID of the second person, he is getting the option of the first profile.
I got your point, dear. The thing is, we haven't made use of the update option. See, if you see, suppose you have got 2 or 3 different profiles created on this platform, and all the information is there in this users table. Okay. Now, as you can see, there are 3 different tabs on which I have already opened up this app. Let's do one thing. Let's make use of this link and open this app on one more tab. Now, if I will create one more profile over here on this platform, the ID of that profile, I will not be able to see in this drop down. I will not be able to see his ID in this drop down. So what we guys can do, we guys can make use of this, we guys can make use of this create records block for creating uh, the ID of this new person and getting it reflected in inside this drop down. Now where you guys have to use that create record block, we can use it with this drop down only. Okay, what we can do, we can define an uneven block. Just a second. We can define an uneven block like this over here. Okay, and this time this uneven block which I am defining, it's for the drop down. It's for this drop down 4, so that every time a person creates his profile on this platform, the ID with the IDs which are getting reflected over here, they can get automatically updated.
Sir, or we can also use update record, right?
Not update record. With update record, we can only update the records of a particular person, of a particular profile, which we have already there, which we already have in this table users or any table that we have got here on the data browser connected to this app. Okay, we cannot use update records for updating the IDs over here. So what we can do, we can make use, sorry, not create record we are going to use, we can make use of this read records block and put it over here. So when the user will click this drop down 4, what is going to happen? We would like to fetch the IDs of all the people who...
Sir,
Beta, hold on for a moment. If you will keep on saying sir, sir, how will I answer the question which Athar was asked from me? So in order to update the drop down with the ID which a person has recently created, what we can do, we can fetch the ID of that person from the users table. Okay, and now here I would like you guys to tell me the code. What is the code with which we can get all the IDs for this drop down over here? What we are trying to do,
append item.
We can use, absolutely correct. We guys can make use of that list variable property. And along with that, we can make use of append item property in order to append all the items which we are fetching from the table users to that drop down 4. Okay, so the concept that we studied in the lecture where we talked about cascading drop downs, the same concept we have to use here also in order to update that drop down 4 with the recently created IDs. Okay, so this is the concept. Atharv, have you got your answer here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Is there anyone else who would
Sir.
like to
Sir,
answer?
we can also do that if we put read record in a for loop.
Shashwat. What we can do? Sorry, I didn't catch that. If we can put
Sir,
a...
if we put a read record block in for loop.
If we can put a read record block in for loop, but for loop comes along with that read record block only, dear. So you want me to make use of 2 different read record blocks. That's what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
How can we do that with using that defining a read record block inside the for loop? Do one thing, Shashwat, try and do it on your own, and in the next lecture show it to all of us. Okay, how can we update the drop down using 2 different read record blocks? Yes, Abhishek, you want to say something, dear?
Yes.
Please
So
go ahead.
while a user comes into this app, he needs to sign in first. If he need to sign in with Google, Twitter, or something like that, there is some option as Google logo and Twitter. While he clicking that, it does not work. So what? How to code it?
Which app you're talking about?
This app itself. Sir. While we are signing, if a user clicking.
While we are signing up, here if you are
Yes.
Here if you are hitting this submit button, so it is not working. No. That's what you're saying.
Not that, sir.
So
when he can click on this Google icon.
Beta, because we just a second. This is just an image which we are seeing over here. We haven't defined any code for these buttons, dear. That's why they are not working. Okay, the components for which you have defined the codes in this workspace, they are only going to give you some output. Na? How can these buttons over here will give you any output? Are you able to understand this thing or not? Abhishek, is this thing clear to you, dear?
But yes, sir.
Okay, so now
Sir, I have an
yes,
sir
Krishna.
like sir like when I have made sir many apps on Applab. So sir, I want to link that with my login screen one, and when it will come welcome user, in that all the apps will appear. So sir, that is there any option? So I have to only copy the code and all the screen will be linked to
Krishna,
that
this
app
Krishna,
only.
Krishna. I think this is not related to the topic which we covered today in this class. So what you can do, as I've told you in the previous lectures also, if you want to, if you want me to give answers to these type of questions, you can WhatsApp me these questions on my personal window. I'm going to note it down somewhere, and then I'm going to take all the questions in one of
Okay.
the future lectures, or in any lecture where I will be making you understand about a concept related to the question which you have asked. Okay, yes, Himansha, you would like to ask something here?
Yes,
Himansha,
sir.
you want to ask something? Yes, dear, please go ahead.
So I was saying that yesterday when I was like on the day when you shared the link of this messenger app, on that day while I was using it, after some time I remixed it and tried to use it with some number of multiple users. So there I noticed that in AppLab we can only make 10 tables. We can't make more than 10 tables. And if we
Absolutely
have
right. Why,
more
Himansha?
users registered with us,
Why? Just because they guys are upgrading the platform right now. Okay, and once the that code.org will be fully upgraded, we will be able to access all the features of Applab. Okay, that's why you cannot create more than 10 tables on it right now. But the basic thing which you guys need to focus on is the JavaScript coding that we are doing right now. Okay, why? What is going to happen? See, and it will be better if you will focus on this text based coding rather than focusing on these blocks which are available over here, because these type of blocks we cannot you cannot get, or you cannot see these type of blocks on Python or on any other object oriented programming language. Okay, so instead of focusing on these blocks, it will be better if you can focus on these text-based coding. What is this text-based coding telling us? See, this is a simple code which is going, just a second, this is the code which is going to help us in reading the records or fetching the records from the table that we have got created over here on the data browser connected to this app. What is a data browser? See, data browser is a space which is connected to this application. And why we require a space? We require a space just because so that we can store all the information of a person who has registered his profile on the app we have created. Okay, so this is the concept which we are able to understand on this JavaScript platform. Okay, now if you will come on this coding part here, what is happening? This read records, this is a command which we use in JavaScript for fetching the records from the table. This is the concatenation operator with which we can concatenate two or more things. Okay, now this is, if I'll convert it into block based coding, and if I click on this drop down over here, so there are various options you'll get to see: key up, key down. So this, if you'll make
yes,
it
sir,
key up,
I've
what will
seen this
happen?
option.
If you will make it key up, what will happen? When you will release the key which you have pressed, then this code is going to get executed. And if you will select this key down, as soon as you'll press that key, then this code will get executed. So, these are the basic things you need to understand first. Then again, here what we have defined, what we are doing, we have defined a condition over here with which we can fetch the message which a particular sender has sent to the receiver. Similarly, here we have made use of an if loop. Just a second. Here we are making use of an if loop in order to put a validation on this drop down sender email. Sorry, not a drop down, but this. Just a second. What is this receiver? Where is that? For putting a validation on this component, we are using this if loop. Right, so these are the basic things which you need to understand, and these basics are going to help you a lot in becoming a successful coder, in becoming a successful programmer. When you will
Sorry, the
when
on
we
event.
on event block is just like if loop, dear. It is just
I know
like if
that.
loop.
Like if
Okay,
you said the click one to
why
key
why
down
why
one key
why
up.
there is an on event block over here? Why is there an uneven block over here?
Sir,
Let me
it
tell you
checks
practically.
for some
Let me
like
tell it to you
this
practically, dear. Let me tell it to you practically. Have you guys heard about this Microsoft Visual Basic? Have you guys heard about this software,
No, sir.
Microsoft Visual?
No, sir.
See,
No, sir.
No,
it's a
sir.
platform. It's a platform on which everything is available to us. Just a second. Let me open it and show it to you. I think my registration has got expired. This, just hold on for a moment. Let me show it to you using some Google images.
Sir, I have used Visual Studio Code of Microsoft.
Okay, dear. So if you'll come on this images part, and so if you're searching for this Visual Basic, so this is a kind of platform you're going to come across. Just hold on for a moment. I think my laptop is hanging. Yeah, no, it's fine. So here you guys can see that this is a text-based coding which is getting reflected here in this window. It is a text-based coding. Now, how can you understand this text-based coding? If you are able to understand these blocks, if you are able to understand these blocks, why we are using these blocks, it is very easy for each and every one of you to understand this text-based coding also. And why we need to understand these text-based coding, so that we can so that tomorrow we can create full-fledged programs on languages like Python, on platforms like Python, Java, C++. That's why we are required to understand these text-based languages. Let me give you a very
Sir, it means that
very good example. Just
block.
a second, Marsha, just a second. If you want to make use of a variable over here on this JavaScript platform, then the first thing that you require is you need to declare that variable. Fine, then only you can assign it a value. This is how you can do it. And let's create a screen over here. Okay, I'm making this screen one, a default screen right now. Now, if you want to print this value of x on this screen one, what is a command that you can
Write
pass?
command.
Write x. Okay, you can pass this command write x, and whatever you have written over here, if you'll run this app, you're going to see it here on this mobile simulator. Okay, this 5 is visible to every one of you. I hope this 5 is
Yes,
visible to
sir.
every one of you. Okay, so that's how you can declare a variable, assign it a value, and write its value on this mobile simulator. Now the same thing if you want to do on this Python platform. This is Python idle platform which you are seeing right now. Okay, so what you have to do on Python, you don't need to declare any variable. You can just write down the name, assign it a value, and then pass a command like this for printing its value. So what is the difference between this thing which I have written over here And this thing which I have written over here, the
Here
only
in
difference
Python
is
we can straightforward give it a value,
the syntax
but
of
in
Python is very simple.
JavaScript we need to declare it, then we can
Absolutely
give
right,
it
है
a
ना?
value.
You are able to relate these codes with this Python codes, na? Why? Just because
Yes,
you were
sir.
able to understand these JavaScript code. That is the reason now you're able to relate it with the codes which we have defined over here on this Python platform. That's what I'm teaching you right now. Okay, that's what you have to focus on. You don't have to focus on these apps and or websites or anything. Okay, you have to focus on these codes. If you will be able to understand these codes, you will be able to create magical things in future for sure. Okay, but your focus at present should be on these codes which you are using. Why sir has defined these things? Why sir has made use of this for loop over here? Why we have closed these? Why we have made use of these two different brackets over here? Your focus should be on these small things, क्योंकि बूंद बूंद से ही घड़ा भरता है. Okay, and if you really want to understand these oops concept, then first of all you need to understand the basic things which we are studying on this JavaScript platform. Okay, on this note, I'm ending this lecture. Now I'm going to share the link of this app which we have designed today with you guys on
Sir,
your WhatsApp. Fine.
so
God bless
what
you
is
all
the
and
meaning
Merry
of
Christmas to everyone. Have a great day.